Like many martial arts, Wu style Tai Chi shares a series of stances that you need to know to excel in your Kung Fu practice. These stances are some of the most important that you can work on and are shared between the Chinese martial arts systems. Although they are a little different in our Wu style Tai Chi concepts, you must learn the basic stances in order to excel in your Kung Fu practices. And Tai Chi is Kung Fu. So let's get to the basic stances. That way you can start working on your Tai Chi today. The first stance we're going to go over today is called bow stance. There's a couple different variations to the bow stance, and in Wu style Tai Chi, we do the Plow Oxen Stance. This is a concept of the bow stance added with a little lean for when we push someone, we have that extra force to push them away from us. Starting from the front view, I'm going to take my right foot and I'm going to step it out just outside into its own lane. From here, I'm going to turn my hips to the side to my left. When I turn my hips, I turn my toes. Now I should be in their own separate lanes at this time. The bow stance, I'm going to push forward with my knee bent on my front leg, and now my back leg is fully straight. This is a bow stance. You notice in our traditional bow stance, not in Wu style Tai Chi, but in a standard bow stance, you'll have the body upright, getting a stretch here, and spine up straight. This is really good and good to know. And if you notice, my front foot isn't fully open here. I want it turned in about 10 degrees here to add stability to my stance. One other detail is that we do not want this foot to be in perfect alignment with this foot. If this is in perfect alignment, when I get pushed sideways, I don't have nearly as much stability to hold against that. When this foot is off the alignment in its own lane, now I have my hips secured, so when someone pushes me sideways, I can push back using the correct muscles and posture, sinking into the ground. One step out. Left foot is now going to step forward here. You notice my knee is not over my toes. I want to create a straight line with my shin down here. My back leg is in its own lane, and I want my toes to face just 10 degrees off with this foot here. When I straighten the leg, I sink into my hip, and I don't want to be open here. I'm going to turn the quad, closing into this leg here. This is a strong, solid stance. You don't need to go any lower than this. If this is too big for you, that's perfectly fine. Work within your range. You can come up higher. The important thing about Tai Chi when we do our stances is, yes, we want to have the proper alignment, but we also want to be still in a relaxed state. In Kung Fu, I would have you go as low as you can, push the muscles, and start strengthening the leg. We're going to do that in a different way. We're going to do it a little higher in a nice relaxed state and let the muscles build slowly but strongly in that spot. Now for the right side. One step out with my left foot and I start to turn it, and I turn my hips forward, step forward, bow stance. Again, back leg straight, front leg bent. If you really want to get nice and strong legs, you go as low as you can go and get a nice big stretch. But it's most important that this leg does not bend the knee. We don't want to be putting pressure on our knee sideways. So whatever you do, make sure you have proper alignment. Don't force the muscles in our Tai Chi. Right here is perfectly fine. This is even pretty low for Tai Chi Wu style. And then I turn my hip so I can get the nice stretch here. Some people will feel a stretch with the Achilles and the calf. That's good if you're working on stretches. For stance work, when we're doing our Tai Chi class, this is perfectly fine up here. You want the knee bent, but not over the toes. You want the leg straight, making an extension. and then right side facing you. Check my alignment, make sure I'm in my 2 lanes. I make sure my knee is not over my toes. I want to keep that alignment here. Push the hip forward because I want to keep that tuckedness, and then the stretch. Tuckedness, maybe I created a word there. And then I can turn to get a little more stretch here. Now, this is a really stable stance. If your hips are forward, your hips are sideways, this is really good for stretching, but we want to turn for the stability. And again, if this is too tough, come up here. In our Kung Fu class, we'll get as low as we can go and hold for 10 seconds. If you're doing it for Tai Chi, you hold a little bit longer, but you come up a little bit higher. So you can hold for 15 to 30 seconds here until the legs start to do a little bit of burning. We don't want too much. Just we want them to work a little bit, and then you can stand up. But that is the bow stance. Now, how do we make it into a plow oxen? As the bow stance and plow oxen are a little different. The plow oxen, we are not going to get as low into our stance for today. I'm going to step off just like I'm going to do a bow stance. So my right foot finds its lane forward. My left foot, I'm going to bend my knee, pushing forward here. This is the height that I want you to start this at. From here, let me get into a comfortable position. From here, this is our normal bow stance. My chest is up straight. The difference between the Wu style Tai Chi and say Yang style or some other styles is that when we do our bow stance, we do what's called a plow oxen. So I'm going to try and keep my hip tucked, my legs straight, and then from there, I'm going to create a line from the base of my foot all the way up to my hip. And then I want to lean forward even more to continue the line. That way the line runs all the way up, making a straight line from the crown of my chakra down to my heel. Now, the reason this is important, let me fix my alignment a little bit. I think that should be about right. The reason this is important is as we do our pushes, when I push, in Wu style, we have a little bit of lean to complete the push. This just adds a little bit more of that throw into the push and gives a little more push. Our style is known for smaller stances with more internal work, which makes it easier on the body to learn the positions. Again, plow oxen, one more time. This is perfect height. Don't need to go any lower than this. So I get into my bow stance, make sure my hip stays tucked, and I engage my lean. You want to do it with a palm. Left hand comes down here, down by my left leg. The right palm is going to come out. And again, whatever leg is straight is the hand that's going to palm forward. Palm. Now, if you feel like you're going to fall over, that means that your knee might be too far over your toes. So check your alignment. I probably should go a little further here. Now I can feel it a little bit better as I have a little bit more alignment here. Now let's do the plow oxen facing forward. I find my bow stance. So if you notice, I'm upright. From here, I want to go ahead and engage my plow oxen by bending the hip, creating the straight line. I want to do it with the palm. Left hand comes down by the side here. Right hand is going to palm out. Plow oxen.